I'm working on a video comparing my freeze dryer to my sister's freeze dryer. I took a batch of apples and split it into two and put half of it in her machine, half of it into mine. When it was finished, I went to seal the bags. The bag sealer that came with hers failed. It would not seal the bags. This is what I went through and how I figured out how to fix it, at least for now and for us. It might not work for you. Okay, and then heat sealing. And I don't know how hers functions in comparison to mine, so we'll give this a try. It feels about the same. That does not look all the way melted yet, but on my first one I always do a double. And I don't know if I've got that set right. I've got about 6.5 on its setting. It still doesn't really look as sealed. Let me try practice on this clear piece. Well, it definitely seals it. It just doesn't leave as much of a pattern on it as mine does. That is not sealed. That's not good. So let's do a test piece. Use this plastic for some testing. Okay. Okay, that just came right apart. That's not good. So let's turn it up higher. Seems to be going through the motions. It's warm, but it's not hot. Okay, that was a little bit better. It started to grip a little. Okay, I've got it turned up all the way. Okay, let it sit a second. Okay. That doesn't seem like what mine does. Do it twice. That's better, but I had to do it twice in twice in a row. Let me try the other side of that. Okay, lights off. Doing it again. Okay, that's cooled down. Okay, that looks better. Okay, that's better. It ripped the layers apart. Okay, that's better. So, looks like I need to have it all the way up. I don't know if there's... I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to do it a third time. Okay. Now let's look at it. Now that looks like it's sealed. I need to get a piece of this bag and test it though. Don't go away. I'm going to try a couple of Mylar pieces. Okay, so I've got some pieces to try. This bag material's a little bit thinner bag. Okay, let's check that. It's got a good waffle print on that side, smooth on that side. Let's check. It just comes right apart. That's no good. It did not melt the plastic there. That's not good. Okay. Let's do it twice. It's started to melt the plastic together, so I might have to do it at least twice. Trying it in a slightly different spot along here. Okay, that's twice. Doesn't look particularly great. Okay, it looks like the plastic was melted. So twice might be acceptable for that. Let's try some of this bag material. So got a piece of that. Okay, let it reset. Do it a second time. Okay, that looks not perfect. No, that did not seal. It sealed at the edge, but it did not seal in the middle at all. That's not any good. Well, that's not a good sign. Wow, that's interesting. Mine, I would have burned myself if I had done that. Why? What is different about this one? Is the heat strip, or did they put something over it? Don't go away, because that's not melting them. Well, unplug it, take this and give it a quick look. Okay. They've got a piece of, looks like silicone or something under it. That's actually a good plan. That would protect it. It wouldn't have to heat up this metal bit as much. So that's seems like a good plan. So why is it not getting hot enough? Very interesting. So I'll plug that back in. Might have to bring the bags to my machine and take care of it. Okay, go on, do a second time, check the temperature. It's only 180 degrees. And try another piece of this plastic. Okay, that looks pretty good, but it's not sealing. Okay, that's nice and toasty. Okay, that's sealed. That's not sealed, not well enough. Okay, doubles seems to be enough for that. I don't know how many times I need to go on the thick ones then. Okay, let's get rid of this junk. And I'll try another piece of the thick bag. I've got a piece of the thick bag. I'll cut a strip out of it. Cut the seal ends off of it. Now we have two pieces. Keep the insides together. One should be enough, especially since it's already warmed up. Give it a couple of seconds to cool. Nothing. Well, that's not good. Okay. Do it once. Lift. Do it again. There's twice. It's warm now. I can see a little bit of a print pattern on there for the texture of that. But it's not sealed very well. Let's try it 3 times. Let's cut off this funky stuff. Okay, let's try it 3 times. Once. Twice. 3 times. Okay, nice and toasty. Let it cool a bit so it has the best chance, I think. Okay. Okay, that's better. Now it broke the pieces. It seems like it was sealed that time. So we need to go at least 3 times for these bags. I think I figured out why this is having so much trouble getting that hot. This is the replacement heat strip under here. This is an 8mm wide heat strip, which is great. It's a little bit higher because I've got 2 layers of the plastic there too. But this is an 8mm heat strip. Mine's a 5mm, which I thought was fine. The problem is that it's going to take a lot more power to heat up an 8mm wide versus the 5mm wide. I'm guessing that's why mine gets hot and seals it so fast and this one's not. So either going to have to turn it all the way up to high, which it is, and seal it 3 times on each bag, or we could put a thinner strip on here. I don't know what else. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to go ahead and heat seal them 3 times so that I can get them sealed here. I need to get back to my machine because it should be getting close to done now. So I'm going to need to seal them a minimum of 3 times. And you don't have to lift this all the way up because you just release a little bit of pressure. The bag is still pinched in there, but it releases the switch and then I can restart it. And if it doesn't do that on yours, it can be adjusted back there. Okay, so 3 times. That should pump in enough heat to get that sealed. It looks like it is. So we'll try that out. I like the fact that it's a wide sealer, a wide strip, but if it won't get hot enough, that's a problem. Do a test on your seals. Take a scrap of bag, test it, find out how much you need to seal, what setting. I absolutely did not expect that. And maybe after it's really hot, well, actually, it's more insulated because of that other piece, so it's not going to heat up as much. I could try a strip of bag now after it's been going for a while and see if I just need to do it twice maybe. And I'll do it twice. Okay, that looks like it got it very hot. Let it cool a bit so that it's no longer melty. Put it on the cool desk. Nope, that didn't seal. Dang. So make sure with 3. I might have to take all these bags to mine and seal them again. This is getting hot, so the transformer is getting hot. Might have to change that out to a 5mm because it's pumping all that heat.
Yeehaw!
I'm going to just take these bags to my machine. I don't trust this one. My sister's new heat sealer, which is a Harvest Right branded one, looks very, very similar to my Impact brand one. It could be from the same castings. I mean, they really look alike. I haven't torn them all the way apart to see if all the components inside are the same, but the parts that I've looked at look extremely similar. There's some minor variations which could be explained simply with a bill of materials change because of sourcing suppliers. I don't know. However, there is a big difference that makes a big difference. Mine has a 5mm wide heat strip and hers has a 8mm wide heat strip. On the surface, it would seem nice to have a wider seal. You get an 8mm wide seal, it's going to seal better. But to get that seal strip, an 8mm one, hot, that's what, 60% wider? From 5 to 8, 60% wider. It's a massive amount of power that needs to go in there to get it as hot. It doesn't get hot enough. It will not seal the bag. That's a problem. So I brought the bags here. I'm going to seal the ones that I bagged with her sealer, and I'm going to use my sealer. There's a problem there. I don't know if it's as simple as changing the heat strip out to a 5mm one, if that would solve the issue. Might try that. I'll have to look at the other components first to make sure everything will handle it. It should do fine. Don't know. Anyway, we'll get these sealed and then move on, get things set for the next batch. Okay, I've got one of the thick bags. I cut the strip off of it. Okay, so that's one time. It's not all the way up. And it actually broke that piece of the bag completely off. It was sealed. These are the bags from my sister's freeze dryer. I'm going to seal them here because they would not seal. Perfect. This, with a single time of those few seconds, is sealing it better than 3 times the other one. It just would not get hot enough. Let's do a bit of a comparison. The two heat sealers look almost identical at first glance. The problem is that one's more like a cheap knockoff of the other. Let's see. Not sure what the best way to show this is. So they both look essentially the same. The castings look like they could have been cast at the same place at the same time. They have all of the same markings for the castings. However, the way they're finished is different, but they seem to be about the same. And then I already changed this screw out because it had this here. This one has a shoulder bolt, so it's smooth all the way across until it threads in. That way, where this component rides up and down, it doesn't catch on the threads. This one was a threaded rod all the way up and down, and the sharp threads are cutting into this piece of aluminum as it goes up and down. So I changed it out to another one that is threaded all the way up and down, but I used a file and took off all the sharp edges. Okay. This piece of aluminum right here. So considerably difference in thickness. So 1.5 millimeters thick. 2.5 millimeters thick. So considerably different there. The casting themselves were about the same thickness. And it's hard to tell exactly because this, I'm going to give that the benefit of the doubt because this has a textured paint on it. So even though this one measures out as very slightly thicker, I'm going to say that that's probably because of the textured paint on that component. Okay, the silicone piece. They both have the silicone piece that's in there. But this one has a groove in it, and then it stops at the end. So it's not, I guess what I'm saying is it's a one cast piece. It's not a long extruded piece. This one appears like it could be a long extruded piece because it has the groove right out past the ends on both ends. So you could slide this down one way or the other, right on out. And then it's also crowned at the top, the other one's flat at the top, and I don't think that makes any difference, and it's just a slightly different shape. The cords. The cord on the new one is 5.5 millimeters. The cord on the old one is about 6.3 millimeters. So it's a heavier cord. While we were using it, it did not warm up at all, so I don't think that that's a giant issue. It's just a fact. The old one, or the impact one, has a fuse built into it. This one does not. Okay, the handles are different. The way they're attached is the same. It has 2 screws, just the quality of screws are different. Okay, yeah, so the handles themselves are slightly different. Again, I don't think it matters. I know mine, because of the leverage here, it's cracked. I don't think that this one would be any different. In fact, this one takes more pressure to actuate it. And I don't have a real way to accomplish showing that, so here's what I have. It's not the right way, but it's all I have for a force meter. So very slowly, carefully press down. And this goes to 5 kilo. And you can hear it click. So it's more than 11 pounds. This scale will go to 11 pounds. This is taking more than 11 pounds to actuate it. And this one takes just over 5 pounds. About 5.5 pounds. So this one takes considerably less force to make it go. And that's just a function of the 2 springs that are inside here. I don't know if we can see that either. There's 2 springs, one here and one here. These just have a stiffer spring. So that'd be an easy fix. I could just simply change out those springs to a lighter spring if I need to. Because that does take quite a lot of force. It's 11 pounds versus 5.5 pounds just to actuate the machine. The front, mine is labeled 1 to 8. And I put a little silver mark on the knob pointing to the very beginning of the stripe. And then if I take that around, you can see it goes to about what would be the equivalent of 9.5 maybe. When I'm sealing the bags, the heavier bags, I'm usually in the 6 to 7 range, somewhere in here, maybe 6.5, 7 range. This one goes from the beginning of the 1 mark to about the 7.5, and that's as far as it'll go. And it doesn't matter where you put it, it won't seal a heavy bag the way it came. Okay, and currently I have this side piece off. This goes here and holds down that strip, and I have that off right now. So the new machine, or this new machine, and I have these plates off. So this plate, they are interchangeable. I could put on either side. It works just fine. But on this one, it is thinner, which I do like. This one's a little thicker, just doesn't really need to be, but I guess it gives it more space in there in case it's higher for some reason. Now, this one has a piece of the Teflon tape under the heat strip, and then that's all. So when you're using this, it does tend to heat up this body significantly, and that's why I usually do 2 times the first bag in a series, because this does suck away a decent amount of heat. And then it's just covered up with this this tape, this Teflon tape piece on top. And I could put that back together. Well, I'll do that in a second. Now, this one came with a 8mm wide seal strip, and this one has 5mm wide seal strips. You're trying to get this strip hot. If you make the strip big enough, fat enough, pumping the power into it won't get it hot because there's just not enough resistance there. You're trying to get it hot. It's a resistant strip. You're trying to get it hot. It wouldn't get hot. Even cranked all the way up, it would not seal the thick bag. Cranked all the way up, all it would seal was the thinnest Ziploc kind of bag. So we changed out the strip to one of the 5mm strips. Okay. So under this heat strip, as opposed to this, it just has the tape, this has a fairly good thickness of silicone. It's quite nice. It's about a 2mm thick piece of silicone. That'd be pretty nice. It would insulate it from the metal body, and that's a good idea. However, with the 8mm wide strip, it simply won't get hot enough to close a bag, and that's a problem. So we changed it out to the 5mm. This is my old original one. I think we'll go ahead and put a new one on it so that it'll last a long time. Once we swapped it out, it acted exactly the same as this one. If you think it needs a wider seal, you could still seal the bags twice, but it seals. With this, it simply wouldn't seal. And I don't know if there's some issue with the machine, but I've heard from other people that have the exact same issue, and I suspect there's lots of people out there that are having the problem and don't realize it. It looks like they're sealing the bag, and they might not be. That would be a real disaster for them. Anyway, so I think we'll go ahead and put one of the new, I'll put one of the new 5mm strips onto this, and just plan on trying that out for some time, paying attention to it with the heavy one on there, with the 8mm, and it's 8mm wide, 0.11 millimeters thick. This one is 5mm wide and 0.09 millimeters thick. So this is more than 10% thicker, plus 60% wider. It needs a massive amount of power pumped into it to get it the same temperature as this one. And yes, it is a wider seal if you can make it work. Didn't work on our heavy bags. This one does. So I'm going to go ahead and take this heat strip out. And I have this on other videos, so it's not a big deal. Oh, and I can show the guts on this one also, because I currently have the bottom off of this one, because I already dropped one of the screws down there earlier and had to retrieve it. So I'd taken the bottom off. Okay, so this is the old one. This one, I don't know how many bags, 5,000 bags, 10,000 bags. This had a lot of batches, and it still functions, but it's definitely getting worn. So we'll put one of the new ones on here. Okay. The extra height kind of gives it a bend. I might have to change that later, but that's okay. Then we'll get this back on. Could probably pull the tape off. Oh, and put this piece back on too. Huh, that's not even. Oh yeah, that's drilled and tapped off center from the center. This one's centered. Interesting. But there's plenty of leeway in it, so. Oh, I better put this base back on too before I'm finished. So let's put this one at 3, and we'll put this one at 3. We're going to start out with the super thin bag and 3. Okay, let it cool for a second. All right. And it's sealed. Okay, and 3 on this one. And sealed. Okay. And it looks like this one's still sealing a little bit more than this one at that setting. Going to go up to 3.5 on this one and see how that compares to that one at the 3. Okay, now that looks more like that one. So if we put this at 3.5, it looks like that one at 3. But that's close, and that's usable and acceptable. Okay, not warming up anywhere. Great. Now, let's go with some Mylar bags. Okay, let's see, we've got various pieces. These two are about the same width, so we'll go with this. So I left one seal here, but we can see that it's already there. And then we'll seal near it, make a new spot, leaving it at the same position it was on the thin bag. Okay. And we'll do this one. Okay. Now compare those. Okay, I don't know if that shows up great, but now it came right apart. The two ends were melted, nothing else was. Not sealed. So similar. In fact, if anything, this one did slightly better than that one at that setting. Now, well, this one is at 3.5. So now we're going to go up to 4.5. And put this one up to 4.5. Okay, let's check that. So we'll go up a little bit higher. Okay, 1, 2, 3, give it a couple extra seconds. Same deal here, a little bit higher. 1, 2, 3, okay. Let's compare those two. Looks similar. And it looks like it's sealed. That's a single time at 4.5. Yay. Ah, thank goodness. So with the thinner bags, it will seal as low as about 4.5 on each of them. The heavier bags, it will take more. I hate to waste a bag, but I'm going to take one of the heavier bags. So let's go up. These are much thicker, so I'm not even going to try here. Going to go up to 6 on this. And I'll go up to 6 on this, and usually I go 6.5 or 7, so this might not be enough. Okay. And then give it a few seconds. Okay. Looks good. I can see the seal area there. I can see it here. And it looks like I can see it peeling just a touch, so I think I would like it a little bit hotter. Yeah, so it's peeling part way. That's really close. Okay, and this one's the same thing. It's peeling up a little bit of the seal, so I would want it a little bit hotter for that heavy bag. That's not good enough. Okay, so this, let's go all the way up to 7 on this, and go up to 7 on this. Okay. Okay. Looks good. It's let it cool a bit so that it's not currently melty, and it is. All right, so now when I'm peeling it, I'm not seeing any of the pattern from the seal area, so it looks like it sealed the full width that time. Looks good. And if you need to, you could always go double wide if you think it needs 10 millimeters wide instead of the 5. And same with here. Looks good. Okay, so that's what I've got. If yours doesn't seal at all, either get a different machine, or you might consider just switching from the 8 millimeter wide down to the 5 millimeter wide. It doesn't seem to have the power to pump in enough wattage into that to make it hot enough to melt the bags shut. This one does, because it's a smaller piece of metal to heat up, a much smaller heat strip. Anyway, so I'll put this back on and send this one back home so it can be used. Okay, figured since I haven't put the bottom back on, I should show the bottom. So there's the electronic board, and that's the switch. Okay, and of course the transformer. So we'll put the plate back on. Okay, now this one can go back home. The bottom line of all this ridiculously long video is to check your sealer, check your seals, make sure that it's actually sealing. It might not be. It might just look like it. Give it a test.